Welcome back, everyone. This is part 2. It's third turn, but I had to take a little break here from when I was playing before. Had to change venue. So hopefully, well, the table I was using, as family starts to come in, holidays and whatnot, give up the table. So I moved to a different table. Hopefully, everything transferred over just fine. I think we're good. We'll review the board, see where we are, though, from the first 2 turns. I think we did maybe it was 3 turns. It's the problem with, let's see, they landed, they moved up. I think we finished turn 3. I think we're about to go into turn 4, which is fine. But how did we get there? Well, let's do a quick recap. Now, since I don't remember, I'm pretty sure we finished turn 3. I may have shortchanged the British a turn, if that's the case, but that's where we're going to go with. Now, one thing, the reason why I had to stop is also because when I was playing, the paragraph, which excuse me, I hadn't read any of the paragraphs up to this point. I didn't know it was going to ask me to bring on a tank. We'll show that in a moment. So I had to go back and read vehicle rules. Yeah, they're not... It's not adding a whole lot of complexity, but it is adding a couple more moving pieces that I'm going to try and get right for us. I figure, again, since we're learning, and maybe some of you are learning with me, probably the best way to get in there is just do it, and, hopefully not make too many mistakes, but if y'all can point out things I've done wrong so I can correct it for next time, that'd be fantastic. Also, I hope the lighting is a little bit different in that there'll be less glare. So we'll see how that all comes across. So where are we? Well, we had our British paratroopers land at various spots on the map. They tried to land in good open areas, and we didn't lose any. I chose nice open spots, landed perfectly. I would have liked to have, in hindsight, landed some across the river so we could do a pincer attack. But this actually kind of worked out. Unfortunately, it did mean almost the entire removal of a platoon here. They lost their leader, lost a squad, took some casualties, and now they're shaken and are just hiding out. So it did not go well for them. But, however, in return, on the bridge itself, we did lose the German squad that was operating, the MG42 that was here. There was also a platoon that I stuck in this, I guess, a stone building house. I just knocked it. Hold on, I gotta fix something here. I just knocked a counter out of the way. And, in fact, let me just shift ever so slightly so you can see everything. I got counters here, so just trying to... There we go. So in this house right here, this Captain, what's his name, McLeod, with decisive skill. If I'm doing decisive skill properly, that is amazingly powerful because it says he can do an impulse, then the Germans do something. Then you can come back to this guy, you remove the marker that was on him, move, fire, low call, whatever, and he goes again. So that actually allowed me to draw some fire, because what I did was I took a squad from Lord Holmes, moved them forward, and the Germans fired. Now, unfortunately, that did cause some casualties there, but it allowed Captain McLeod, he assault moved up and fired into the building, which it shook every single unit in that stack of Germans that was in there. And because they were all shaken and Captain McLeod can go again, he just walked in and captured everybody. Wow. So that guy is going to get some kind of reward at the end. Now, having done that, it did trigger an event which brought German reinforcements. Dun, dun, dun. See, at first I thought, game over. There's only one squad in a bunker on the other side of the bridge. No issue. Well, little to my surprise, when I triggered the event, it brought in this Sergeant Belk, And he's bringing on 3 164 squads. So this guy's coming on with a platoon. So this platoon sergeant's coming. And then it's not picking up that last marker very good. Then they're bringing a Panzer 35S, whatever that is. Well, so they brought the tank, and they're bringing them in here. I was on the impulse that we drew that event. So here come the Germans. So yeah, I thought we were good, and that's what caused me to have to read some of the vehicle rules. So we'll just roll with it. We'll see how it goes. But that would explain to me why. I have a better understanding now of why we have Piats with each team. So 2 teams have a Piat. Luckily, again, not having known this ahead of time, the squad that had the mortar, that's the one that's shaken. So I actually have 2 Piats ready to go, and I think we'll be good. Now there was an icon on the Piat. It's like a black square on the movement factor, and I didn't see anything on here, and I have to look. But I'm guessing the Piats can't shoot and move. I was guessing that meant no assault move, possibly, with the Piat. So basically, we will just have to kind of sit tight and shoot it. Yeah, I just kind of flipped through the book again. Like I said, that's one of those things I just didn't quite find immediately, so maybe we can get some clarification on that. The other thing, too, is yesterday when I played, when I first fired the Piat, I totally did it wrong. I forgot I had an ordnance table on the back. So you just don't add its firepower to the firepower of your attackers. It's not that kind of support weapon. You actually would fire it separately. And I didn't fire it into the building of Germans at the time because it only has a range of 2. So it's a short range weapon. So I did catch that for later in the video sequence. However, I want to try and remember little things like that going forward as well. But that pretty much brings us to our current situation. So we would need to roll, get an initiative, and carry on. I've got this set up to go into turn 4, which I think that's where we were, honestly. The British had initiative for the first 3. Now we're on to turn 4, so we're going to roll. And looks like the Germans get the initiative. Alright, so let's take care of that right now. And let's go see what the Germans are going to do. What the Germans have decided to do is the infantry element, they're going to double move, double time it out. They're going to cross through this house, cross that open field. None of that will draw opportunity fire until they get here to this house. That'll take their 6 movement points, because it's going to be, well, almost 6. Because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 movement points. So we're going to move them up. I just dropped them. I was trying to move around the leg of the tripod here, and I dropped my Germans. So this platoon comes running into this house. So we're going to mark them with a move, which I have right here. And I thought about it, and I said to myself, sure, why wouldn't Lord Holmes shoot into that house? So he's opportunity firing. Now, even if it wasn't opportunity fire, and we just said, we'll wait and activate him this impulse, either way, that's where he's shooting. So Lord Holmes gives his 1 adjustment to firepower, because he's got leadership modifier 1. Oop, and I move it down a little bit. Let's not forget to show the people who are doing something. Okay, so we got, they're in this house right here, so they got a nice open line of sight. Even though it's still nighttime, but this scenario rule said you have a sight distance of 3, so no problem there. This is not the primary firing unit. They are a Piat team. We could fire that separately, and I don't think that's, it does fire a heat round, which means you subtract 1 firepower from when shooting at, they're not in the open, so I could shoot this house. It's got this circle H for heat. If these infantry were in the open, then we would subtract 1 from the firepower, if I remember correctly. I'm trying to do some of this off my memory without having to read every rule, but we'll see how that goes. But the Bren team will fire the Bren at 1, and they'll use their full firepower of 1. You add half for that squad, round that up, so that would be, because at the end you round all fractions up, so that would be 3 firepower just among them, 4 firepower just among them. Let me keep them with their Piat. So just within the infantry, they're going to have 4. Get my little tracker out here. Now the Piat would be a separate shot to shoot into the house. It has inherent firepower of 2. Yeah, and I think that's it for modifier. Well, oh yeah, it is, because 2 hexes away. I could fire, but we'd have to make an ordnance roll just to see if we hit, and then it's basically a firepower check based on 2. So first I have to see if I hit the building. So we've got 4 firepower for the infantry platoon. Then I'm going to roll for the Piat separately. Then we'll see how it goes from there. So with the 4 for the infantry, let me shift this over a little bit so I can fit the camera right next to. So here's to hoping we do it right. Oh yeah, I think this might be short. Let me check the terrain chart real quick. I think that building gives 2. That is, what is that, a wood building? It's not a stone building. It doesn't have the red dot. I guess it's light construction. It's 3. 3 modifiers. So the defense total is 4. Now the offense is going to be 9. Oh, it's going to be 10 because the Germans are moving, and it's +1 to hit moving units. So we've got so far a firepower of 10. And that's just a platoon. I'm trying to think here. That's a difference so far of 6. Yeah, I think we just messed these people up. Yeah, I think Lord Holmes did really good there. This might turn out to be, I know I don't want to overthink it, but it might turn out to be pretty good. I might be jinxing it. I think I did this right. I always second guess yourself when it looks like the results are too good, but so far I think we're good because I got my firepower total. We rolled dice, we're comparing the difference, and now the offensive total was greater. I'm going to take that difference and apply it to a damage check. So I'll take the move off for now. So first we're going to check the German officer. I think all these guys are shaken, honestly, because the bonus is 6. Yeah, so this guy is shaken, not wounded, but he is shaken. So he doesn't get to use his modifier on folks. 2 plus 6 is 8, so that squad is shaken. Again, 2 plus 6 is 8. So it's more than their morale, but it's less than double. So that shakes a nice full good order squad. And again, with an 8. Wow. Had I known that would have gone so good, hindsight tells me I should have done like a salt move. Then I could have rushed into the house and taken them out. But we didn't do that. So now I'm going to mark, well, now it's the Piat. So the squads have fired. The only thing, again, without looking at the book, just trying to get this off memory, if I had, let me check something real fast. All right, it was just kind of bothering me. It does say that you can fire a support weapon and retain your inherent firepower. If a full good order squad fires 2 support weapons, it loses the inherent firepower. So yeah, I think we calculated that good. Now let's take a look at what I need to hit with the Piat at that building. So we're 2 away, so I'm on this second column here. So range 2. It's actually going to be needing a 4 to hit. Now, the terrain modifier, though, we're going to check that. That's the building, which is a 3. So let me check that real quick. what I did was I just kind of double checked to see what modifiers would apply. So at range of 2, I need a 4 to hit. So I would roll 2 dice 6, add the terrain modifier, which is +3. I don't think that's going to hit the house, or it's going to hit but be very ineffectual, because the lowest I can roll on 2 dice 6 is 2. Add the 3 is a 5, and I've got to get a 4. I don't have any modifiers that would apply. Now it does say a leadership modifier, but it was talking armor leader. Oh, let me check that real quick. Maybe armor leader might apply to this guy. Okay, well, I just went to the book, and it does say that you can apply the leadership modifier -1, which is what Lord Holmes has, to the roll. So if I roll Snake Eyes, this actually would hit the building, and they would all be attacked with a inherent firepower 2 attack, which did not happen. So all of that worry for nothing. So we fired the Piat, our nice spring-loaded rock, I can't say rocket propelled, but nice spring-loaded weapon, and that was that. Yeah. Oh, that's why I didn't wait for an impulse to shoot, because as an opportunity fire, I still have the tank to move, because the tank was activated at the same time the infantry were. So technically they would have to finish their move before the British would go. So I think overall, good decision that I said that was an opportunity fire. So let's just rearrange the stack, and then we'll go take a look at the German tank and where it's going to go. Yeah, I realize there's a lot of light here, so not quite the same as glare, just I'm telling you, I didn't realize it's so hard to find a balance between too dark, too bright, glare, no glare. I definitely need better lighting system. But here we got the tank here. He's facing his vertices. He can move. They get a free pivot. My first thought was to move him along this road, and then we eventually want to try and turn and flank some units. That, I don't know, I thought that might be the best thing. Oh, I forgot to mark Lord Home with fired. They're fired. So they are spotted. But nobody can shoot at Lord Home. Now, the tank, if I turn, rotate, maybe bring him up this way. The thing is, because where this guy is positioned in the woods, he's actually pretty well protected by the hedge. It's not a bocage in this game, so it's a hedges according to this scenario rules. I bumped this flyer with me. It's supposed to be there. And so, if I move here, we've got a line of sight blockage. Well, actually, it says I think it said if you fire along, you're like firing on either side of the hedge. I guess it would be clear line of sight on the outside edge of the hedge. I just get confused with some of the wall rules on how to shoot. It's just that I don't think if the tank comes around here, he would pretty much have to get adjacent to get a good shot. And at that point, then I got a good lucky shot with the Piat. Maybe I could do the infantry attack against an armored vehicle. I just don't think bringing him here is smart. Now that being said, I've got to get him in there. They got to fight. I think I bumped my map. Here we go. I still think maybe coming around the road and coming up behind, maybe at least attacking what's left in the house. But I guarantee you, the British, if we come take a look at the house, they want to get the heck out of there, because we got to cross the bridge and try and secure this other side of the bridge. We got to get to the east side, maybe clear that bunker. Then we can fight the tank. The other thing, too, I got to worry about is even though I just shook everything in that stack, the leader could possibly rally. And I don't have enough movement points as infantry to run over. Because these swamps are counted as clear in the scenario rules. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I tell you what, these guys could come running out, jump into that house, and capture that entire platoon. Now, having thought that, see, my first instinct was to move the tank along the road, but in order to set up defensive fire for the infantry to support them, we're going to go ahead and actually bring the tank on. Now, the tank, it said, started either over here, or there was another hex like H1 that could have come on the road, but we came in over here. Since we're here, I'm not going to pay the movement cost to move on, because I think that's where, since we're starting there, it said we can start there. Or at least it's where I bring them on. Maybe that does cost 1 movement point. And that's another rule. Again, it's in my head. Something about, you know, bringing people on, you pay the cost of the hex. I guess because that's where they're coming on. It doesn't mean I set them there. So I guess I pay my 1 movement for coming off board on, which you can't see. So I'm actually going to pay the movement cost here to bring them on. Let's knock some stuff down here. I got the power cord plugged in to the camera, and the power cord just come out and it swapped across the map and caused casualties over here. No! I hope that wire is where it was supposed to be. Yeah, so we're going to move the tank on. So we go 1 movement point. I think I could, yeah, I got to move them on here. 1, I'm going to pivot. 2, I think we're going to move around the woods there. 2, 3, 4, a pivot. And you get your 1 free movement per move, free pivot per move. So I think I'm at the 4 movement points. So we move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and his movement, is 10. I'm actually going to stay right there. I guess you could assault move with a tank. I'm going to check that real quick to see if that's assault move as in prelude to an overrun, or, you know, I'm pretty sure they can move and shoot. So let me just double check and see if that works similar for the vehicles as it does infantry. Alright, so assault move then is going to be very similar to infantry. So I'll assault move with the tank. I move 5 spaces, so that would be half his movement. He gets -2. Basically, it's a 2 on the offensive table when he rolls to see if he hits with his firepower 2 equivalent shell. And then he's got a machine gun. Now the machine gun, to my understanding, because it doesn't have an asterisk, so it's not like a 360 swivel. Let me check that real quick. Just learning all the new symbols here, it takes a moment. Okay, we're just clarifying. It's probably too bright for you to see very well. The machine gun value here does not have an asterisk, so it is in this covered arc, where the vehicle is facing, or at least a turret, and it is we're unbuttoned, right? It's open. Like the default state of vehicles is unbuttoned, but you can change that stance. I think you do it at the beginning of the turn or impulse or something like that. You can change if it's button or unbuttoned. And then there's some bonuses that you get, like if you can't spot if you're buttoned up, and some rules like that. Unbuttoned could be bad because if you're shooting at the tank, if it's unbuttoned, you might hit like the commander. Luckily, this particular machine gun, if I had thought about it, I would have put them in button mode. That way, they were pretty much impervious at that point to machine gun fire. But here, I'd have to check to see if maybe there was like a casualty for the commander because it's open right now. But it will let you shoot the machine gun. Now, the machine guns have abstracted firepower values of 2 and 4. 2, it says you have out to range 10. And this is great because we are well within 10. But I'm going to check because this angle I'm at might actually not allow me to shoot across it because it's hitting that hedge, and the hedge blocks line of sight. Yeah. So I probably can't do it. I'm not like directly along it. I mean, I'm actually kind of crossing through it a little bit. So I don't think we can get a good angle with machine guns anyway. Probably what they're going to have to do is just get marked with moved. Bummer. And I was trying to understand opportunity fire. I looked at it and it said like if you're marked ops complete, you can opportunity fire, but there's like a penalty because that would allow folks that did like spotting if you spotted your target, you could then shoot at it in the impulse that you spotted it, which is fine because if you're marked ops complete. So what I want to check though is just if you're moved, because even though I'm in a position to provide cover, I don't know if I can provide cover right away at this impulse. Alright, well, so just double checking. Yeah, if you're marked with moved, you don't qualify for opportunity fire. So I did try to bring the tank up here to support the infantry, but since they moved, they're kind of stuck there. Now I wonder though, if I did take this to be assault fire, I thought I had read that you could assault, like do the assault move, so you move, but you don't have to fire that impulse. So I could have him moved up here in position. Then as these British troops in the building here try to charge their way into taking that hex, he then could fire. And he would get a penalty, but we might survive enough. Let me double check that real quick. Alright, it says that I can hold off. So I can assault move up here. So they're moving, ready to fire, and it will give a -2 on their firepower, which, isn't great, but it could be detrimental to somebody charging around here because, they're about to hit that house. I think just for gameplay shenanigans and funnery, what I'm going to do is actually, let's move the stack. I'm going to use my fingers on that stack because that thing is tall and it is a little precarious and it is leaning. Do I want to move everybody? You know what I could do? I'm going to do the sacrificial lamb method here. I'm going to send one squad out, and then they're activated to move, but we're going to send one squad. Now I think, yeah, because the impulse would come back to him. So he's going to do this impulse to activate for move, and he's going to move a squad. I'm moving the squad that has the captured support weapon machine gun. Yeah, and there's a rule in here too about captured support weapons where like the first time you shoot and miss or something like that, you can't use the weapon anymore. I just remember reading some places where people for like advanced squad leader and maybe even this to some degree just thought it's kind of weird that you can't figure out how to use a machine gun. You capture an MG34. I understand there's differences between like the Bren and things like that, but at some point a machine gun's a machine gun. Load the belt, pull back that charging handle, squeeze the trigger. But maybe that won't be an issue here. But I figure if anybody dies, it'll be the one with the German light machine gun. So we're going to move them because we're going to try and take that their house. Yeah, twist my tweezers here. There we go. So they move one because we're passing through here with those guys. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we get right here to 4. And the tank opens up. Now adjacent firing, you get +2, but they moved, assault move, so there's a -2 on the firing. So that's just I'm just going to say washes out. So it's a 0 bonus on their shooting right now. They will get +1 because this squad is moving. Alright, so that's fine there. So we got the firepower 2 from that machine gun, and then he's got inherent firepower of 2 from his high explosive gun, but that would be a roll on the chart on the back to see if the shell lands close enough to actually attack the infantry. So let's do the machine gun first. So machine gun's got firepower of 2. We are in the open, and so it's just basically going to be straight up comparative die. Well, I get to add 2 for their machine gun. So hopefully the green is much higher. Well, it is much higher. In fact, 3 for the German roll, which, oh, I tried to get this close on camera. Let me just shift the camera a little bit because I wanted you to see the dice rolls but not knock over counters. So I rolled 3 for the Germans. 3 plus the 2 of that machine gun is a 5. And again, I had, well, oh, and then you added 1 because they're moving. I think that still, it hits. Because we would then have a total attack of 6, and the British rolled a 6. So luckily, I don't think that does anything. So even though it hits, technically, there's a 0 modifier. So I'm going to roll a die 6, and even if I roll a 6, it doesn't affect the unit. Let me just see here. Because die roll is less than or equal to the morale, no effect. So the machine gunner opens up as these guys go sprinting across the field, and you see all the little dirt chunks go flying up between their feet and legs, little squibs going off like they do in the movies, and they just keep running. Well, then this tank, you got the commander, you know, making ready, firing. And then I don't speak German, but in my mind, whatever they're saying for fire, you know, it's like fire. So my chart says up to 5, which we are, is a to hit roll of 7, and then it would have inherent firepower, main gun, inherent firepower is 2. Well, let's see if we hit on a 7. Now, I get to subtract 1 from the roll because the target is moving. Let's see, I got the offensive fire table chart here. No leadership. Vehicle is open, so that's -1 to the roll. They aren't marked. They are marked with assault move. So that's +1. So I'm checking out my pluses. Right now that's a 0. Those two cancel. No degrading. It's not firing at it with smoke. It's not a hero firing a support weapon. It's not a weapon team. Mounted on a vehicle, but it is mounted on a vehicle using assault movement, which is the +2 that we mentioned normally. So far I've got a penalty of +2 to the dice roll, which is the assault move. Let me make sure that's right. Yeah, because it's vehicle is open. Oh, okay. Yeah, the earlier one was a multi-man counter. No, this is a vehicle. So, vehicle that did assault move. So basically, I'm at a +1. -1 for being in the open, +2 for being a vehicle with assault moves. That's a grand total of +1. But now we're adjacent, which is a -2. So now I'm at a -1. Oh, that's the target. Yeah, the target's adjacent. And they're marked with a move. Okay, so I'm trying to get all this straight. Vehicle is open, -1. Assault move, we're at +1. Adjacent, -2. So now we're at -1 in my roll. And then another -1 because the target moved. So I think I'm at -2. They're probably going to hit. This shell is going to land very close to them. Oh yeah, because that's 5 -2, that's 3. So that actually hits. So now these guys are going to get attacked again by firepower 2 on the gun. And then it says if you hit with an HE shell, they don't get terrain modifier anyway. It's just comparative die 6 rolls. This time, it does not bode well for the British. So the German player gets a grand total of 8. Because it's the inherent firepower 2 plus the 6, and then the Germans, or the British, rolled a 1. So let's see, that's a difference of 7. Okay, yeah, I guarantee they're going to be shaken. If we roll really well, they might take casualties. So that's 9, not quite double, but it does shake, and it does prevent them from charging into the building. So we're going to put the move on them. We're going to leave the assault move, but now he fired, so he gets marked with a fired. Or is it a move? I think he gets a move. Let me double check that. Aha, it keeps both. This was pointed out to me last game by a friend of mine. So he said, because this was in a situation where the Germans drew a paragraph where it said they got to make an attack as if it was assault fire, but it wasn't. So we should have marked them with like moved. But anyway, it got me really thinking about this. So it says that if you do an assault move and then you fire, they're going to get the assault move marker to remind us that they did move, and they get fired to remind you that they fired. So he's going to get, he gets that. That was the tank. So the tank has moved, has fired, and then the British are now shaken and moved. Whew. Now, I just want to take a moment to say, does that sound all overly complicated, what I just did? Maybe because, if it does, could be the way I'm explaining it, could be because of my own not knowing the rules fully. But I'm telling you, so far, this isn't really much more complicated than a lot of games I play. Most tactical games I have, they do have opportunity fire. You've got, fire on the move and these different things. So they aren't like new concepts, but the mechanics are just slightly different than what I do play in some other games. So it just takes a moment to read the rule book a couple times, and then that doesn't mean I'm still not forcing in rules from other systems. So I am trying to get this as close as possible, but to be fair, if you were going to play this yourself and you're kind of going through the same experiences, it's not overly complicated, really. I think if you just give it a go, I don't think you'll have much trouble kind of getting into a swing of things and then learning some tactics. So where I'm at right now, and this is actually something I learned from a advanced squad leader player, which is the bring out your sacrificial squad, cause the other person to fire. Because see, this tank had to fire. It absolutely had to, because if I didn't shoot at and try to stop this squad somehow, that one squad would have popped in here and just taken that whole stack of Germans. That platoon would be gone. So we had to. But what that does do now, because of that, the way impulses and things worked, is I can reactivate these guys now for another impulse, and now I can move one squad over and take the building. However, I'm probably going to move the whole stack, because then I can bring the Piat team, have the protection of that building, and then try and attack the tank. And then possibly, if I'm lucky, get over and be able to rally this unit, or have him move into the house with me. That brings some trouble too, because if the tank shoots, there's like a move penalty. Well, let's not get too far ahead, but essentially, this could still be an interesting fight. I want to kill the tank, but on the other hand, I can leave Lord Holmes behind, and he could try to defend against the tank. The thing is, though, I really, really want to get somebody over here before they start the new turn to rally. Now, the tank did the opportunity fire, so that doesn't count as the German impulse. Technically, the Germans still have a squad with a machine gun in the bunker who's going to pass. Like, they're witnessing all this stuff going on, and I would have to take that squad out and have them leave to go shoot, because they're stuck to the angle of that bunker, which is facing the road on the other side of the bridge. I'll just show you real quick. They're not really in a position to contribute to the battle on the other side of the bridge. They're holding their side of the bridge. So, yeah, I think just because I really love story and narrative, the remaining bits of the platoon are going to come out. And they're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They move in here as their impulse, and they take that squad, or that platoon. In that stack, they did have 3 164 squads and a leader. So that goes away. This all goes over to the German casualty box, which is now really, really filled up. In my mind, I didn't think it would go this way. You know, as I second guess my math and my understanding, I just think I really lucked out with the Lord Holmes roll and what he did. The Germans were in a pretty well defended, but I rolled really, really well. And none of them rolled a 1 to create a hero or anything. So I think the rolls have just gone really, really well for the British player. Can't really complain about that. And I'm going to say that would be the end of the turn, because that one lone German squad's going to pass. And I think that's what we'll do. I'm going to take my markers off. So we're going to take them off. Now that tank's in the open, so he is not going to be hidden. He is in the open, so we can see him. The Piat team is in the building, but range 2. But I tell you what though, that's a problem, because range 2, this thing is not very accurate. I think that Piat really is designed to get up close and shoot. Problem is, from that house, I might have to find a way to circle back around and get into the woods. That would give me some cover and allow me to shoot at to this tank if the tank stays there. Let's take this off. This comes off now. Yeah, choices, choices, decisions, decisions. Well, let's roll for initiative and see what happens here. Here comes turn 4, so let's roll some dice. And Germans retain the initiative. So coming into turn 5, which is probably good. This narratively in my mind is playing out. British are coming in swift and fast. They have spread out from their initial landing points. Now they've gone astray from the bridge, and they have focused now on this tank, which could very well not be a good thing. Just because I've got Piats doesn't mean I can hit it and destroy it, because the Piat is not it's not very good. I think bazookas and like the Panzerschrecks and Panzerfaust do a little bit better. So this might not be the best call. Now, technically, well, I guess I can't say technically. Captain McLeod had decisive. He moved and got marked with a moved, but his decisive actually lets him go again. So let's do this, because, you know, the little things that you forget. Let's come over here real quick to the McLeod and talk about that for a second. So right now, in my mind, if I was playing with a face-to-face opponent, somebody would have said, oh, hey, wait, Captain McLeod has that decisive skill. I mark him with move, and then when it comes back to the British player impulse, he can still do one more thing. Now, even though I kind of advanced past the end of turn and we already started the next turn, what I could do is give him a shot, because actually, now that I think about it, he might be the best one with the Piat to do this, because he can do things like move, shoot. And if I don't score well, you know, I might be able to get like a couple shots with the Piat. I'm sure I might get a lucky roll in there. Then it would just be a matter of checking, you know, my armor. It's a heat round, so it only does penetration of 3. But with a good roll, that could actually penetrate, because I'm coming in. Let's see here. That would be a side shot, because this line right here, this is the difference between the side and the front, and it says you always give the benefit to the attacker. And I'm going down a clear side of a hex. This hex here is clear. So he's actually got a clear shot to the tank with the Piat. So even though we moved, just using my next attack or my next activation, we're going to fire the Piat. So range of 2, needing a 4. The move marker should not have come off yet, so the tank is still moving, technically. Also, there was something where if you wanted to keep moving the tank, you could keep the move marker on it. little things to remember, because the tank, I don't know, at this point might stop, but he was still marked with the assault move. So he like plus, well, subtract 1 from the roll. They themselves aren't moving because they would take the move marker off to do the next activation. I got a leader, so I subtract 1 for that. So I think I'm rolling 2 dice 6 minus 2. So I've got to get 4. So I got to roll 2 dice 6, subtract 2. I don't know if you can see the dice bucket here. Let me just move it up a little bit. That's a hit, because 6 minus 2 is 4. So if I am remembering my stuff right, I'm in range of 2. That's within the range for nighttime. Again, they were moving, so that's a bonus of 1. I have a leader, so bonus of 2. They weren't moving. Yeah, I think that's legitimate. I think that's a hit. So that would be a 3, and it's going to be on the side. Now I rolled odd, which means it's the hull. So what I got to do now is on the tank, if I hold these numbers for you for a second here, since I'm shooting on the side, the numbers, I believe it's hull and then turret is the second set of numbers. So the hull has got an armor value of 3. Now what I got to do here, because I hit with the Piat, is I roll a die 6, they roll a die 6, and we compare which number is greater. Since my firepower is 3 and that's 3, basically it's going to come down to who rolls higher, the British or the German player, to get a penetrating shot. Now if I don't get a penetrating shot, depending on the difference, there's a chance that the crew could bail. So we're going to see here if we get a penetrating shot. Yeah, basically that blows up the tank, because the Piat, its plus 3 is 7, and then plus 2 and the 3 armor value of the hull, that's 5. Yeah, we blew it up. I kid you not. I think that I got a wreck marker in here somewhere. I truly believe that is a successful wreck. Let me go find a wreck marker. Alright, I just cleaned it up a little bit. And I tell you, this is the kind of situation where it really makes you question, am I doing it right? So if someone's watching this and they happen to notice a flaw in the math or the way I calculated this, let me know, because it just seems so good narratively right now for the British player. You know, they send out a squad to try and take the building, and the tank did a good enough job shaking them. Then Captain McLeod comes running over, takes the building while the tank's reloading, whatever you want to call it. You know, so under great fire, they come swooping in. They then hit that squad or that building, take everybody, but because he's got decisive, he then goes again. And yeah, I did a rewind because I thought about it. I was like, wait a minute, he would get another action because he himself had got marked this time, not previously. And then they rush into the building, they capture some Germans, and while a couple of the squads are rounding up the prisoners, the Piat team rushes up to a window, sets up, and fires, and boom. Now, the only thing that I'm going to look in the rule right now that I think about it is I do believe that Piats can shoot from buildings. That would be the only thing that would invalidate all this. I'm pretty sure Piats can shoot from inside of buildings. If not, we got a problem. I'm going to see if I can find that real quick, because now I'm curious. Well, of course, now that I want it, I can't find it. It just seems to me that I remember reading somewhere that bazookas, Piats, Panzerfaust, things like that could shoot from inside buildings. But again, I can't find it to confirm it. That would have been one thing that I think would have kept me from shooting out of that building. Now, the other thing, too, I was just thinking of as I went through, was the fact that we entered melee. But it says, though, that if after that melee fight, if there's still combatants from both sides, then you mark the hex with a melee marker. At that point, then, you can't fire, move, or anything like that out of the hex. However, because all those Germans were shaken, there wasn't actually, a lingering melee. We just went in and they surrendered. That would have been probably the only other thing that would have kept me from making that shot with the Piat. Now that we made the shot, it's concluded, we would move on to the next turn, and the German player has initiative. So I think we're still good. It's just that this overwhelmingly is putting the story into a swift and brutal attack by the British, who have taken some casualties. So with the couple of turns I have left, maybe I could move, stop, possibly try to rally on some squads, or just let them go and move the healthy people across the bridge and try to take the bunker. And that bunker is right there with a machine gun squad. They've got they have their 054 and MG42. So we just very well just might get in there and just fight our way into the bunker. Because the German passes, he's not coming out of that bunker. He says, no, I'm good. Alrighty, well then let's get the British moving. Alright, I've got to be positioned in such a way that I can hopefully show you what I'm doing here. So the British, I'm going to twist this camera just a little bit so I can get around here with my tweezers and not hit that camera tripod. We're just going to double move out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That puts us on the edge of the camera there. It almost puts me right into this bunker's field of fire, because he's facing this hex and he gets these 3 hexes. He's actually got really good field of fire. So, wow, this would be an interesting thing for the next turn. Possibly have a squad throw smoke and then try to come through and attack the bunker. So this bunker is actually in a really good spot. Now again, I could do the whole, we'll send one squad, draw fire from the bunker, and then send everybody through. So there's some options. So we're going to mark Lord Holmes with a move. One decision that I made was I'm not going to worry about trying to stop and revive squads along the way. Chances are I could probably make that on a pretty good roll. Like if I move here, Sergeant McLeod, and then just end his movement here, I probably could pick that squad up, but that's going to be one whole turn, and I need to move. Believe it or not, with only 2 turns left, I still haven't taken the bunker over here. I'm just now moving troops across the bridge. So let's get moving. I would love to pick more people up along the way, but we're just going to go, because he's open. That was an open. So we're going to take him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because they are double moving. Yeah, we got everybody at full strength. So we'll put a move on them. The Germans passed. I wasn't meaning to just move 2 British back to back. Technically it would have been British, German, the German pass, and then the British. Honestly, I'm feeling the best place right now for this lone German squad is there in the bunker, because the infantry, the rules were like you can't use IFT against a bunker from the front because it's too well positioned. It's just, it ain't happening. So you got to get this thing either on top or from behind and shoot, and that's what I got to do. That's why I'm saying it's dangerous to move this entire platoons across to try and hit that bunker. So I might just send out like the sacrificial squad, have him shoot, which would then put them under a fire marker, and then safely move up, kind of a thing. Then I could probably swing around these two platoons and just try to fit a big stack on top of that bunker to attack. And that might be how we end it. But this would be the end of this turn. But see, it's got to be quick because we're just about to hit turn 6. Now, one thing too, if you notice, I've got this event A. I'm not taking it. I am not taking it. I have a pretty strong feeling that the last event I triggered said, you know, it brought a tank on. And I don't want to trigger anything else. You know, so I have a feeling that that's bad. So we're just going to swift and bold and come across that bridge, charge the bunker. Let's roll initiative. Here comes initiative. Germans retain the initiative. Good for him. Alright, so we've got this positioned ever. I kind of put this at an angle just so I can get my arm around my tripod here and move stuff. So I'm sorry if the angle kind of looks weird. But the German player, even with his impulse, there's nothing for him to shoot out at. So he stays put, so he passes. Now comes the choices. What do we do? Lord Holmes, he will send out... I should send the Bren team. I don't think the Piat can shoot like in melee or anything like that. The Bren team can. Thing is, the Piat team could shoot the bunker. Like, it can shoot the bunker from the front, and if it hits at range 1, it's got a 4 inherent firepower. That might be good. I'm going to send the Bren team. Dun, da, 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 da. So that's my Bren team. Lord Holmes and the Piat team will stay. That means these guys run out and they're going to take a shot from the bunker. So it's a 0-5-4 team, so they don't have an inherent firepower. It's a 0, so I'll add 0, but it is a 3 from the MG42. Now, my little squad here is moving. They're not moved yet. They are moving, but that might be where they make their stop. So the bunker, let's see. So that puts the German player at 3 for the machine gun, plus 2 for adjacent, and 1 because the target is moving. That, to me, is 6. Now, I got nothing for the defense of the British because they're out in the open. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think this could be very bad for that squad. But that's why I moved 1 squad and not the entire stack. Okay, so the German player then comes away with a grand total of 9. 6 plus 3 is 9. The British got a 5. So that means ultimately we're going to have... it's going to be a damage check with a plus 4. So the British player... 2 plus 4 is 6, which, believe it or not, ties the morale. So he is not affected by that. Wow, okay, cool. So the British guy, he's trucking right along. So he is going to, well, 1, bunker gets a fired. They were shooting at their machine gun. The British... charge up onto the bunker. Let me see. They're on a clear. I don't know. Let me check on a bunker if it's got its own movement cost to hop onto. I think we're good to go on the bunker. Now, the bunker, it says it's like a hex within a hex. So this is clear. I'm not entering the bunker, but I'm going on top of the bunker. So we stack. So again, we're going to end up with another big stack. So they moved. 1, 2 to move onto the bunker, not into it. Now, because of that, we're going to be fine. There's no melee with units inside a bunker. You're going to shoot back and forth. So the drawback is to this is if I stack a bunch of stuff, then that means when the bunker shoots up, it attacks everything in the stack. So I am going to bring Lord Holmes, bring a couple squads. I'm going to bring the rest of the boys. So they would move. They move successfully. I have no other German units, so the rest of these guys are going to come up like so. They're now all on the bunker. With the remaining British, I mean, I could stack the entire thing. You know, I'd have to check and see if I got stacked. I think you're allowed like three full squads, and then like all the support weapons, and then like 2 leaders or something like that. But I'm not going to do that. What I am going to do, though, is move to where I'm outside the front firing arc of the bunker and attack it from the side or rear. Then you can attack the bunker, and they get the +2 defense, but I can attack it. With their small arms, they can't attack from the front. So that's what we're going to do. While that bunker is occupied, firing at other people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, they're all dead. I just dropped a stack. So I'm going to clean that stack up. Oh, I didn't need to bring that machine gun. That was left there. I'll clean my stack up and then we'll go to the next turn. Alright, I'm going to shift the camera again a little bit. As we shrink the play area, I can center more. Alright, I just had another thought. One, I could have had Lord Holmes and his groups assault move, right? They would have paid half movement, had a -2 penalty for firing, which with the bunker train of 2, I mean, that's already a -4 against them. We could have rolled, but I'm going to say I don't want to rewind time like I did before. I don't want to roll initiative for everything and then go back. I'm just going to leave it as is. I missed an opportunity to assault move with Lord Holmes and see what he could do. However, I didn't roll initiative, and this time I caught myself. I have decisive with Sergeant McLeod. So Sergeant McLeod comes running across the bridge, so they got there moved. Took a sip there while I was thinking. But now I can use his decisive skill. Let me see if that's a one-use thing. See, that's another thing. I probably have been cheating now this entire game, because some of these you use it and then it's gone. Let me just see if decisive was a use once, because that's probably why things went so good. See, that's why I need people to remind me of things like that. Eddie, decisive is a use once skill. Oh, thanks for pointing that out to me. Single use. Well, there it is, team. That's why we had such an easy time clearing out the Germans. Holy cow. So what I can see now is that people who like to comment before they watch the entire video probably could put a comment. You only use decisive once. It's a single use. You just cheated. Then they'll get back and go, oh, okay, you caught yourself. So at this time, I realize decisive is only a single use. I used that way early on. Then I used that to move and attack a tank, and I was going to use it to move and win the game just now. So really, you know what? I may end up playing this again. Now that I have a little bit better understanding of decisive, and we've got the tank rules down a little bit. Yeah, because honestly, I think that explains why I was able to walk through with the British. So technically, this is the end of turn 6. However, I've got a bunker battle to do. And it says you gotta clear the field of anything within 3 hexes of the bridge. They definitely are within 3 hexes of the bridge. This still could wind up being a German victory. Let's find out. Here comes initiative. This could decide the game. It's gonna be the Allies. So narratively, I can see that with their stunning victories that they obtained. Well, it's war. All's fair in love and war. They take the momentum and begin preparing to assault the bunker. Lord Holmes tells his folks to fix bayonets. Well, you know, they probably don't need bayonets for a bunker, but they need a Piat. But that's probably on there. I don't think I can use that on necessarily. But let's see. Lord Holmes has one firepower. I guess I could use the Piat at range 0. Would it just be rolling on this here, the 1 column? Because that's a separate attack. I guess they could just roll on the 1 column. I honestly don't remember seeing anything for saying using support weapons in the same hex. Oh, it's adjacent. That's right. I remember. Because they're not in the bunker and they're not in melee, it's the bunker is counted as a hex within a hex. So essentially, everything is adjacent. So we're actually outside. So it would be the 1. So that's fine. I can actually fire that Piat as a separate attack against the face of the bunker. And then the British here, excuse my mess. So let's see what we end up with. We've got 1 firepower for Lord Holmes, 1 firepower for the Bren, so I'm at 2, I got my fingers up. 3 for the attached inherent firepower of that airborne unit. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Half for that squad, round up, that gives me 4. Then I have, this is a clear hex that they put the bunker in. That swamp is clear per the special scenario rules. So that's just 2 on the bunker. So adjacent, add 2. So we had, let's see, 6 firepower for the British because it's adjacent. 2 for the bunker. So that's a difference of 4. We're going to add 4 to the British roll. I keep trying to make differences in things I don't need yet. Basically, I get to add 4 to the British roll. I don't know. Let me see if I can move this over a little bit so I can fit the little dice bowl right next to everything. Okay. Make sure we got that. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 for adjacent. That's 6. I'm adding 6 to the ally roll. So that's going to be 9. Let me find my little tracker. 9. Then you got +2 for this bunker. So that's a total of 3 for the Germans. So that gives me 6 that I'm adding to the damage check. Alright. Here we go. 4 plus 6 is 10. 5 double. So if you got a half squad, I think we just killed them. Let me find, because that is a half squad. If I find a good order, well, it's still considered a multi-man counter. So if it's a good order multi-man counter and you hit greater than or equal to twice the morale, it is casualties. And if you do casualties on a half squad, it's eliminated. And that's that. So they charged the bunker. Bren team, all these guys are firing in the ports. And that's that. And that, ladies and gentlemen, minus the occasional cheating, is scenario 2. I feel kind of bad. This is one of those things where you're almost like, should I just scrap the entire recording? And now that I found that I made that mistake with the decisive skill, because I honestly think that was the deciding factor in this entire conflict, because that allowed that group to move and attack. I mean, I think I only, used it once inappropriately on the tank. And like I went out of my way to call out the decisive skill because I said, hey, let's just, before I do the like I had already rolled for initiative. So if I was playing a face-to-face player, yeah, that would be really crummy to then come to that realization, hey, I only used decisive once. I caught that here, in a solo game, but that's kind of a big mistake. But that being said, I think we did a phenomenal amount of playing here. This was a really good scenario, and in a way it kind of plays out to how I think this should be anyway. The British come in, catch these folks unaware. They go and eliminate resistance at the first house. They then, go turn and fight off a reinforcing company, take out a tank with their own company. I don't know. I thought that was pretty good. Well, actually, it was a platoon, 3 squads on a company. So in reinforcing, I send out 2 platoons. It stops a reinforcing German platoon. We hit with that Piat. I think I've got the numbers pretty good. I think so. It was a pretty lucky shot there, because it was adjacent. Well, with the Piat, it wasn't quite adjacent, but I had the leadership morale and the fact that that tank was marked with assault move. I got the moving bonus for it, and that allowed me to hit the tank like just barely. And then that penetration roll, I rolled a 6, and I forgot what they rolled. And I think, too, if I go back and look in the rules, if I remember right, there's actually something for that. If the attacker rolls a 6 and the defender rolls a 1, it's like a catastrophic hit or something like that. But I don't quite remember exactly. No, I think they rolled like a 2. So I just beat their penetration, their armor value by just 1 or 2 points, but it was enough to blow up the tank. So I think that went pretty good. You got machine gun fire from the tank. I don't know, overall we added a few things, but I don't think it was anything so complicated that would prevent me, from moving on to the next scenario. And it feels like each scenario is adding just a little bit more in terms of complexity or things that you can do, but it hasn't been anything overwhelming, luckily. And again, I think having experience by playing a lot of other tactical games, those decisions are still here, but again, the mechanics are just tweaked a little bit for this specific game system. I really do feel bad about cheating, but that was one time. Okay, I moved him, and then I said, "Oh wait, he's got decisive." I think I only cheated the one time, honestly, but that was a pivotal attack because it took that tank out. That tank should have, done more, I think. Yeah, I think it's fun. This definitely, I'm going to look ahead, start working on the next scenario, and getting that set up to play, because this has actually been a really good learning experience. This has been a very good learning game. Threw in quite a few more mechanics that I think will benefit in the future. Well, anyway, thank you all so much for tuning in, and if you got all the way to the end, listening to my comments, go ahead and share your thoughts on this, because this definitely is growing into a rather interesting system. I can see how story elements are there, even if it's story elements you create with the fantastic overpowered British that just comes swiping through and taking things out. That still leads for a very fun narrative. Yeah, thoroughly enjoying it. Actually, if there's a scenario that you would like to see me play, let me know, because right now I'm just kind of going through them one at a time. I don't know if I'll do all of them on video for you. So far we've done 1 and we've done 2, and I'd like to do number 3. But if there's something you would like to see in particular, let me know. Otherwise, I'll be running through number 3 for us here pretty soon. Alright, thanks a lot. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye.